So basically, Nebraska, of course, had all the great rivalries in the Big 12.
Northern Knoll, he lives in the north side of Tallahassee. Am I
And
guessing?
I guess that's what we're going with there. And certainly, Nebraska had its chief rivalry with Oklahoma, and that was torn apart because of the move and quite the rivalry with Colorado. So now we are about 12 years into this Big Ten experiment. It's more than an experiment, it's permanent. But I know that the Big Ten is forced Iowa and Nebraska together, and it makes sense because of geography, and it makes sense because of history. They used to play all the time. Um, how well do you think that's worked? Do you think it's taken?
I think finally it has taken. The fans are the last hurdle in this. The fans are the last ones to be convinced that this is a rivalry game. You know, obviously it's now played on Black Friday, which had taken the other rivalry games that Nebraska had always been involved with. This replaced that. Um, but finally, I mean, I was one of those people that did not want to give in and say this is your rival. But it really took until this season, seriously, for the light bulb to go on inside my head just by talking to the players and the way the players approach this game. There's a little extra juice going into that week. It doesn't matter if it's the last regular season game of the year and what your record is. They're pumped to play Iowa. They want to beat Iowa. And obviously, they haven't been very successful against Iowa for the last several years. And all of them want that to change. They want to bring home whatever the hell they're calling the trophy each year. um, but yeah, it has turned into a rivalry game, and I'm one of the biggest sticklers out there, and I'm finally convinced that it is their rivalry game, and I don't see anything else ever changing that unless both of them leave the conference.
Nebraska's been in the Big Ten for about 11 years. These players are anywhere from 18 to 21 years old. So for them, that's what Nebraska's history is. Not that many of them didn't grow up in households that talk Nebraska football and have taught them about what's happened in the past, and they don't have knowledge of it, but many of them don't. They didn't follow college football. They weren't into college football, or they just got into it by themselves as a 12 or 13-year-old. And so for them, Nebraska is a member of the Big Ten. Um, you do understand in talking to some younger fans, and this happens to me on a regular basis, that their viewpoint is based on their age and what they're around and who they've talked to and how much history they dive into. So some people just take it as, to them, Rutgers is a member of the Big Ten, Ohio State's a member of the Big Ten. What's the difference? Well, there's a big difference, but hey, if you've only been watching college football for 3 years, what is the difference in terms of membership? So
Well,
they,
also,
and so I'm just making the point, basically, for some of these players, Iowa's been the rival during their lifetime and been the opponent the last game of the seasons.
well, the funny thing about that is that geographically, Nebraska, Iowa probably are the two that go at it most recruiting wise for this part of the country. I mean,
Yeah.
how close they are together. And yeah, they played each other when Nebraska was a Big 8 team or a Big 12 team. They played Iowa here and there. Um, and so there was that border kind of battle, but Nebraska was always playing Iowa State year in and year out. So Iowa was kind of an afterthought that we're the Big 8, we're the Big 12. We don't care about Big 10 football. But now now that you're in the same conference and you're going head to head for big time recruits, and you see how successful Iowa is getting Nebraska players, especially out of the Omaha area. I mean, look at Noah Fant. Look at C.J. Johnson. I mean, not C.J., but his brother. I mean, there's Nebraska battle. Look at Thomas Fedoni here at Nebraska. And these are guys that I can go to games either in Omaha or Council Bluffs or what have you, and you might have Coach Frost there watching, or you might have Kirk Ferentz there with his staff watching the game. Yeah, these guys are going head to head in the whole recruiting battle, and year in and year out, most of the time Nebraska's won that overall conference. Better ranked conference recruiting and better ranked overall recruiting. But Iowa's the one who's winning the games on the field. So sooner or later, something's going to give. But yeah, I mean that's a way bigger factor nowadays than it used to be. When Nebraska might get a guy out of the state of Iowa, it's like, who cares? Or Iowa might pluck a guy out of Nebraska. It's like, whatever. But yeah, it's a totally different game nowadays.